Welcome to another video of Music Awesomeness and Stuff with Miss G. In this video we're going to talk about music basics, and really what I mean by music basics is a set of basic musical vocabulary that you're going to need in order to be successful in a music rehearsal. Optimally, unless you're in beginning band, most of these things you should already know, because it's very important when we're in rehearsal that if I say check your articulation or look at your key signature, you know what these terms mean. So let's take a look. So to start off, we're going to talk about a staff. A staff is 5 horizontal lines where each line and each space represents a different pitch. So for example, if you see a note here, it's going to be a different pitch rather than if you see a note here, and so on and so forth. Pretty much all Western classical music is composed on this staff, and pretty much all of the music you're going to see in a band class or any kind of instrumental class, you're going to see it on a staff that looks very much like this. In order for a staff to have any meaning as to where the notes go, you need to have a clef, and there are 3 main clefs that you're going to see: a G clef, an F clef, and a C clef. Now, more often than not, you've probably heard a G clef referred to as a treble clef. The reason a treble clef is called a G clef is that this little spirally happens right around the G line, but what you really need to know is a treble clef, okay? Some of the instruments that play in treble clef are flute, clarinet, saxophone, oboe, trumpet, French horn, and percussion. The second clef that you are probably more commonly going to see is an F clef, or what you've probably heard it referred to as is a bass clef. And the reason it's called an F clef is these 2 little dots designate where your F line is. Instruments that you're going to see reading in bass clef will include bassoon, trombone, euphonium, and tuba. Now, in the band world, you're going to see far fewer of a C clef in your music. However, it does happen occasionally, particularly if you're playing trombone or bassoon, if you're playing especially orchestral music. The reason it is called a C clef is that this little loop-de right here is where your C line is. So the C line is here on this one, and it's here on this one. So if you see an alto, if you see this C clef situated like this in the staff, it's going to be an alto clef. If you see your C clef situated like this in the staff, it's going to be a tenor clef. You'll also find in the top left-hand corner of a piece of music after your staff and your clef is you're going to see a time signature. And a time signature usually tells you on the top number how many beats in each measure, and the bottom number what kind of note gets the beat. So like what we see up here, 4 being in the top tells us we have 4 beats per measure, and 4 being on the bottom tells us a quarter note gets the beat. So if we had 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, that would mean a 2 beats per measure, and the half note gets the beat. The reason that I have usually in here is if we have a time signature that is compound or asymmetrical, for example like 6/8, our tempo might change that rule. So for example, if I have a 6/8 time signature, what that means is I have 6/8 notes per measure. However, if the tempo is fast, I'm really going to have 2 big beats per measure, whereas if the tempo is slow, we're going to have 6 big beats per measure. But as long as you remember this rule, it's a good place to start. Not only are you going to see your clef and your time signature in the top left-hand corner of your music, but you're also going to see a key signature. And your key signature tells you which notes are sharp or flat and which notes are natural in your music. So for example, in this you'll see 2 flats, which are B flat and E flat, so that tells me we are in the key of B flat. And over here you're going to see 4 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp, which tells me I am in the key of E major. We'll talk about key signatures more in depth in a different video. Once you get started in your music and also in your key signature, you're going to see some of these signs probably. Now, I've added some of the extra ones on the side just so you know what they look like, but more often than not, you're going to see naturals, which are the white keys on the piano. You're going to see flats, and this sign designates that it lowers the pitch of your note a half step, and a sharp, which would raise the pitch of your note a half step. Now, if you do encounter a double flat or a double sharp, it's exactly like what you would think. So a double flat would lower the pitch of the note 2 half steps or a whole step. And if you see a double sharp, which looks like a little bit of an X, it would raise the pitch of the note 2 half steps or 1 whole step. Another thing you're going to see in the top left-hand corner of your piece of music is some kind of tempo marking. Your tempo marking tells us how fast or slow to play a piece of music. Sometimes it comes with information about what style to play in. So in this example, your tempo marking is allegro, which would mean fast, and they actually give you a specific tempo marking, quarter note equals 144. In this particular example, this tempo marking is adagio, which means medium slow, and again, they've given you a specific tempo marking, eighth note equals 60. Once you get into the meat of your music, you're going to see measures or bars. And a measure or a bar is 1 unit of music. Okay, so you'll see 3 measures or bars in this particular example. Measure and bar, those words are synonymous, which means they mean the exact same thing. Okay, and they are separated by bar lines. So I have a measure, I have a bar line, I have a measure, I have a bar line. You'll notice that in the end of a piece of music, you're going to see a double bar line. This indicates that we are at the end and you're good to stop. Another thing that you might encounter in your music is a repeat sign, and these look like double bars with dots by them, which means exactly like what it sounds like. You repeat or replay the area of music between those. Occasionally, you will see an end repeat sign if it's towards the beginning of a piece of music, but maybe not a beginning repeat line. If you see that, treat it like it's a da capo and assume that the composer knows that you know to go back to the beginning of a piece and repeat that section. Other things you're going to see in your music are articulation markings, and these are notes, or these are markings that are written above or below your notes that tells you how to play a note. Are we playing it accented? Are we playing it long? Are we playing it slurred? We'll have a different video about articulation markings later. And then your dynamics will be all the way through your music, and dynamics tell you how quietly or loud to play. So if you see pianissimo, you're going to mean to play very, very soft. If you see fortissimo, it means to play very, very loud, and everything in between. So you should know your pianissimo, piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte, and fortissimo, and you should understand what those mean. So I would like to point out that that was a very brief and quick overview of a lot of musical concepts that are important for you to know for any rehearsal. If you would like more in-depth information, I have videos about key signatures, time signatures and meters, tempo markings, and articulations. So if you need a more in-depth explanation of any of those, please check one of my other videos. Thanks for watching.